Thanks for tuning in to The Rachel Hamm Show, where you'll find the inspiration, encouragement, and tools you've been craving. Be sure to hit subscribe and give this video a quick like. Now, here's Rachel.
Hi, this is The Rachel Hamm Show. I'm Rachel Hamm. This is Nikki, and I'm so glad you're here today. Okay, do you remember when you were first learning to drive? Everything was overwhelming, right? You get into the car, you've got this big machinery, and you're going to be controlling it, and you don't know what you're doing. Do you remember that? You remember that feeling of overwhelm? And the instructor starts telling you, okay, we're going to put your foot on the brake, and your first thought is, where's the brake? Right? You don't even know where the brake is. Okay, well, she shows you, he shows you, whatever. Find the brake, put your foot on the brake. Okay, now we're gonna start the car. Okay, we don't know how to start the car. Okay, so we do that, and then we're gonna put it into drive. We don't know how to put it into drive. Every single thing you do when you're first learning how to drive is overwhelming. There are so many things that you have to learn in order to drive, right? But then what happens? You do learn how to drive one little thing at a time, and before you know it, you've probably done this. You drive somewhere and you get there and you don't even remember driving there because it's so second nature. You don't even hardly have to pay attention because it's natural. You know how to drive now. You don't even think about it. You don't even think about getting in and, okay, put your foot on the brake. Okay, start the car. You don't think of any of that because you just know it and you can do it with total ease, right? Right? I mean, that's how it is when we're driving. So I want you to think of that scenario and apply it to hospitality. Hospitality can be very overwhelming when you hear all the things you need to do, or maybe even just thinking about it right now, you're like, hospitality, I don't even like that word. It's so stressful. It's stressful partially because you don't know how to be hospitable. No one's maybe ever taught you or trained you. And so you're looking at all the things that need to be done and or don't even know all the things that need to be done. And it feels overwhelming. But have no fear. Your hospitality instructor is here. And so I want you to think of me today as the person who taught you how to drive, right? They sat there next to you. They told you each little thing. And before you knew it, you were doing it like it was nothing. You're going to be able to be hospitable like it is nothing. Well, I mean, it is still kind of a lot of work, okay? Even when you know what you're doing, it can be a lot of work. But this is how I want you to think of hospitality. Hospitality is a gift you are giving to anyone who you're having over. It is a lot of work. It is a sacrifice that we make, but we're doing it in order to give that gift to our guests, to be a blessing. And when you are a guest in someone's home who's great at hospitality, it does feel like a gift. It's really wonderful. I have some people in my life who are very hospitable, great at hospitality. And when you get there, you feel special. You have amazing drinks and food. Everything seems to flow with ease because they're good at what they do. And the conversation can then flow naturally because they're able to kind of like second nature, just do all the things that need to be done so that you as their guest can have a wonderful time with them. And it really is a gift. So today, I'm going to share two parts of hospitality. I'm going to talk about part one is what you do before your guest arrives. There's a lot to do before they ever get there. And then part two is what to do after they arrive. So I don't want you to get overwhelmed by what I share. If hospitality is not your thing or you've never done it, or maybe you're getting ready to do it, part of why I'm doing this is the holidays coming up, right? We're going to be practicing hospitality, a lot of us, and or you're going to be a guest in someone else's home. And so it's also important to be a good guest. There's good hosts and there's good guests. Be a good guest. Be thankful. Bring the host a little gift. Try to, express your gratitude for all the work that they did for you and the gift they gave you. So if it's not your thing, if you're not normally hospitable or you don't feel great at it, as I share these things, you might be tempted to get a little bit overwhelmed. Like, oh my gosh, I can't do all this. But that's okay. You don't have to do all of this. If this is fairly new or not your thing, just take one thing from today. Just take one thing and apply it. That's it. How do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? So don't get overwhelmed. Just listen and be listening for what is that one thing I'm going to apply the next time I am hospitable. And I have a question for you. If I do teach you well and am a good instructor, like your driving instructor was, would you be willing to be more hospitable? I mean, scripture does tell us to be hospitable. It's something that is in God's heart to have people come into our home and have fellowship and have food and break bread together. It really is something God wants for us. So if I help you gain some knowledge, some understanding, some know-how, would you be willing? Would you be more hospitable? If you listen to today's teaching, you're going to learn how to be a better host, which will help your holidays, which will help anytime you're having someone over. It'll help you to feel more confident, and therefore you'll enjoy your time more as a host. Instead of being uptight or stressed, just listen to what I say today, apply some or all or whatever of it, and you will enjoy hospitality more, and your guests will think you're wonderful. So I'm going to share all about what to do before, what to do after, and then I'm going to share a very personal story at the end after I have given you the instruction part. Okay, so we'll do that at the end. Let's get started. What to do before your guests arrive. Okay, so the first thing you can do before your guests arrive is set your thermostat appropriately. I think one of the biggest mistakes people make when being hospitable is they keep their temperature at what they normally would keep it at, or they keep it warm, too warm often. Because even if you're only having maybe 6 or 7 people over, a room can get hot really fast when you put bodies in it. So if you keep your temperature, say at, I don't know what, 70 or what, I don't really know what a temperature is. We keep our house very cool. So if you keep it warm, when you're having a party or hosting or whatever, turn that thermostat down. You're going to be really glad you did, because not only are you hot because you're running around getting stuff ready and doing stuff, but your guests also can get a little overheated when everyone arrives. It's amazing the heat that bodies bring. So you really want to keep that in mind and lower that temperature. But occasionally, like if you have a grandma coming maybe who's always cold or something, it's nice to have little throw blankets out that is easy for them to grab and use if someone does happen to be cold. So I tend to have little throw blankets over my couch so that it's easy for someone to grab that and make themselves comfortable if they tend to run on the cold side. But again, even with your temperature being low, all of those bodies are going to raise that temperature and you can get real hot real fast. So first thing you do, keep your temperature lowered and have some throw blankets for those that get cold. That's number one. Number two is you're going to want to get your table ready for the guests, right? So we're going to be setting the table. We're going to also be getting all of our serving utensils that we're going to need. So like if you have something in the oven that's baking and you're going to be bringing it to the table, well, what are you going to use to serve that dish? Do you need a spatula? Do you need a spoon? Do you need tongs? Whatever it is that you need to serve each of the food items that you're serving, you're going to want to have already on the table. This is going to help you not have to run back and forth to the kitchen while your guests are there. You already have everything you need at the table. So when you bring the food to the table, you're good to go. You want to also have like hot pads. Now, I like to keep my table looking pretty, so I tend to have my hot pads over to the side, and then I just put them on the table right as I'm bringing the dishes to the table. So that way, when you look at the table, it looks pretty and it's not cluttered up with hot pads. So I do that right at the last second, but I do keep them right by the table, again, so I'm not going back and forth having to grab stuff that I need. Another nice touch of something that you can do is have name cards, especially if you want people to sit in a specific place. Now, you might not care where they sit. They can sit, you can say, have a seat wherever you'd like. And if you don't have name cards, then everyone can just sit wherever they'd like. But a nice touch and something that brings your hospitality gift, it elevates it, is having a little name card. You can even go one step further, and something that I have done is have the name card with their name on it, and then you write on the name card the meaning of their name. Now, I have a name book, like a baby name book that I got when I was pregnant with my boys, when you're picking out names, and it has like every name known to man and its meaning. But it also can be found online. So if you don't have that kind of book, just go online, type in name meanings, and you can find the meaning of people's names and just write that on their card. It's a nice little extra touch that just makes your guests feel important, cared for, and seen. Okay. The next thing you're going to want to do is have some sort of little centerpiece. And I say little for a reason. I think a big mistake people make when being hospitable is having a big centerpiece. There's nothing worse than sitting down at someone's table and having the inability to see the guest across from you because their centerpiece is so large. You don't want to have a tall centerpiece. And also, if you're bringing all of the food to the table, as opposed to eating like buffet style and everybody grabbing their food in the kitchen or something like that, you're going to need space on the table for all the food, right? So you don't want to take a centerpiece that's taking up a ton of space. I'm going to show you in just a second how to set a table setting, and also I'm going to show you the centerpiece I'm using for Thanksgiving, so you have a very specific picture. But it can be a variety of things. Often a little vase of flowers is great. Candles are great. I usually do a little vase of flowers in the center of the table with candles on both sides of it. Candles are a great enhancer for hospitality. They help elevate the mood of the room. They make things feel kind of special. And I usually use scent-free or like a light vanilla scent, because you don't want a strong scented candle on the table that then can actually even affect the way that the food tastes, because a lot of how we taste things is what we smell. So if you have a strong scented candle, your guests can be actually affected by that as far as how the food tastes. So I tend to do a very mild vanilla scent or a no scent at all. And I use 2 little small candles. And so that, again, it's not taking up a lot of space. It's not in the way, but it really enhances the mood. So candles are another thing to do. Okay. One thing that can be stressful when being hospitable is keeping the conversation going, especially if you have a group of people that maybe don't know each other. Oh, my mic just came back on. If you have a group of people that don't know each other and you're a little worried about what are we going to talk about and is the conversation going to flow well? And sometimes that can make people feel anxious. It can make you as a host feel anxious because you feel the pressure on your shoulders to help keep the conversation going. So something that you can do is write out questions ahead of time on a piece of paper, and you fold them up, put them in a bowl. And as you are seated at the table, you say, okay, you explain to your guest, we're going to draw a question. I'm going to draw a question. I'm going to read the question, and then we're going to go around the table, and each of us are going to answer the question. And then I'll pass the bowl to the next person. They'll draw a question, read it, and then we'll go around and each answer the question. And it can be something that is, like I've done questions like what is your favorite Christmas gift that you've ever received and why? Well, it's kind of harmless. It's benign. It's something that is kind of fun, happy. And it also makes it where now as each person is answering it, you don't have one person dominating the conversation and another not saying anything at all. So this helps bring balance to the conversation at the table and can really be fun. It can be a great time to answer those questions and to get to know each other through the answering of the questions. And you can also go deeper. You can do very deep questions like, I don't know, whatever you want. But I would kind of steer away from questions that might make people feel uncomfortable, or they might feel like I don't want to share that. So, you kind of keep it safe so that your guests feel safe. Another thing you can do is get a game. We actually have a game of questions, and here it is on the screen. So this game is it has different levels. So the question level number 1 is very light questions. 2 gets a little deeper. 3 a little deeper. So depending on your guests and how well you know them, you can choose the appropriate level for that specific situation. Then you're not having to come up with the questions, and it's a little easier. But if you don't want to have to buy the game, you can just come up with the questions yourself. So that will really help, because sometimes there's a person at the table who won't shut up, who talks too much, and that can be uncomfortable, and it can also make it unpleasant for the other guests if you have someone just talking. But it also can be just as uncomfortable if you have a guest who won't talk at all. They're just sitting there not carrying their weight in the conversation. So by having the questions, you really eliminate those problems and you keep that conversation and the evening flowing well. And I think it's a really great way to help your guests have a good time and relieve that stress. Okay, the next thing you're going to do before your guests arrive is you're going to create your timeline for the evening. Now, it can be really hard if you're having multiple dishes to get them all ready at the same time. That's one thing that I dislike and find a little bit stressful with hospitality. And so what I do is, especially, it depends on how easy it is. Like if you're doing one thing, and maybe your guests are bringing the rest of it, you don't really have to create the timeline. But if you yourself are making multiple dishes that have to cook at different temperatures, at different amounts of time, whatever, then it's helpful to create the timeline. So what I'll do is say I'm starting cooking at 4 p.m. say, and so I'll say, okay, 4 p.m. get the rice started in the rice cooker. Okay, 4:30 p.m. turn the oven on to 375. 4:45 p.m. put the chicken in the oven or whatever. So, and I'm not using those times correctly. Like we're not eating at 4 o'clock, but you know what I mean? Like, so you figure out how long each thing has to cook, what is cooking at what temperature, how you're going to need to do this. And then you write the timeline out. It helps you when especially if you're doing part of that after your guests arrive. It makes it where you can speak with your guests. You can do things with ease because you're not having to think and remember everything that needs to be done. You already got your timeline. All you have to do is keep an eye on the clock and see what you're doing at what time, and then do it. And it really simplifies your process. And again, just alleviates some of that stress and also keeps you on track so that everything's ready at the right time. Another thing you can do as you're having guests is set up a drink station. I like to always have drinks already out, already available, and already set up. So I usually use an ice, like a little, what is it called? I'm trying to blank on the name. The ice bucket, like an ice bucket, and a little scooper. And then I'll have water glasses with a pitcher of water and whatever drinks you're having. But I will always have water out. And if you're having wine, you want to have, your wine glasses also already set out. You can have the wine bottles open and available. So you already have that all set up. You're not getting glasses out as your guests arrive and filling them with ice or whatever. You can let each person get their own drink, and you already have it all set up again ahead of time, making your stress level a little better once the guests arrive. Now I'm going to show you how to do a table setting. So let's go to my dining room. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to set the table. Now, I recommend using your china if you're having, whether it's a holiday or just like a family dinner or friends over or whatever. I am a believer of use it or lose it. Why have it if you're not going to use it? Most people don't use their china. I use mine all the time. And mine is really special to me. It was my grandmother's from like the 1930s. And it's very simple, white with silver. It's so cute. And it's pretty. It's just pretty. So I use china and crystal stemware a lot of the times that I have company. I just think it makes it feel more special. It makes the table look beautiful. Again, why have it if you're not going to even use it? It's just collecting dust. Put it to use. And it will make your table look nice for your guests. And I think it communicates to them that they're important, that they're special, that they were worth, this special setting. And so I personally use my china. Now, you don't have to. You can use your regular everyday dishes, or maybe you don't even have china. Or if you're having a really large party, I am a big paper plate person. So if for Thanksgiving or Christmas, a lot of times you're going to have like 20, 30 people or whatever. Some families are that large. Do paper. It makes things so much easier to clean up. Obviously, you're not doing 30 dishes and all that stuff. But if you have enough glass plates, it's always my goal to use glass plates. It's my goal to actually use my china, but then sometimes I'll just use my everyday ware. And then if that's not possible, if the group is too large, I will use paper. So for Thanksgiving, this is how I'll be setting the table. So I'm going to show you now. Okay, so this is the table setting. I have my main dinner plate To the left of the main dinner plate is a cotton linen napkin folded as a rectangle. And then you do the fork on the left, the knife in the middle, and then the spoon. Now, this is not necessarily technical or like, what etiquette would say or anything like that. I'm just showing you what I do, what I think is sensible and works. You don't need two forks. No one needs two forks for their salad and their main food. I think one fork is enough. And I don't put the dessert utensil on the table until I serve it later. So this is just what I'll be using for dinner. The main plate is for all the regular food, and then this can be used for salad or for bread. And then I use my my crystal stemware for a water glass. And so if you have the drink station, then you would have had this. You could have this over by the drink station, and then your guests just bring it to the table with them when they come. So this is what it looks like. This is the table setting. Now, I like to use this kind of like a neutral color tablecloth and then a real colorful napkin. So I get different color napkins. So that's kind of the one thing you can change to make the table look different or more colorful or be appropriate for whatever holiday it is. But I just keep it simple. I use this one a lot. It's like a kind of black and white striped tablecloth, or I'll do like solid white or gray or black, and then just change things up and bring color with the napkin. Okay, now I'm going to show you my centerpiece. Okay, this is my table setting, and it is so incredibly simple. Literally anyone can do it. I'm sorry, not my table setting, my centerpiece. Okay, so this pumpkin is about, I don't know, it's like the size of my hand. It's about 4 or 5 inches tall, cute little size. And then this is a little thing I got like at Michael's craft store. It's just it comes like it's like a stick that bends. So like, see, you can bend it. It comes straight, but then you can bend it, and it's just got like little beads and stuff on it that just looks pretty. And I just wrap it around the pumpkin. That's it. I mean, come on, like so incredibly simple. Then you just kind of make the beads look pretty or whatever. Super, super simple. And it's small and low, so guests are going to be able to see over it to each other, and it's not taking up too much space on the table, but it adds a lot of color and is so cute. And you can do, if you have a really big table, you might want to do like a set of 3 of them. But if it's not that big of a table, you can just do one right in the center. Then I have 2 cute little lights, little candles on each side. These candles are kind of sparkly, and then I just have a little tea light inside. I think candles add a lot to atmosphere. They really help things just feel pretty, feel kind of warm and cozy. And I never have company for dinner without having my handy dandy candles on the table. Now, for most of the year, I do a small vase of flowers right here in the middle and then do these candles on each side. Okay, how easy is that? Like, you can do that. So easy. So you don't have to spend a lot of money, and you don't have to do a lot of work to have a cute little centerpiece that makes your table look pretty and is very doable for you. Okay, so your table is ready, your house is ready, you're good to go. You've done everything to get ready for the evening. Now it's time to actually enjoy the evening. Your guests are arriving. This is part 2 of our hospitality work that we're going to do. Okay, so when you open your front door and your guest has arrived, most people say, "Hey, how you doing?" as they're walking in the door. Something I like to do, only if I mean it sincerely, is say, I'm good, but I'm better now. I'm good, but I'm better now that you're here. Now, if you can't actually, if you don't mean it, don't say that. So if you're not better now that they're here, don't say it. I mean, right? Just be sincere. So if you don't feel like you're a lot better now that they're here or whatever, you can say, I'm good and looking forward to a lovely evening with you, or something like that. But you want to say something that causes them to feel special, wanted, welcomed. I mean, it really can make a big difference in how they feel. And you want your guests to feel welcomed. So think of something you can say. Again, I often say, I'm good, but I'm better now that you're here. And you can think of your own little thing, but just say something to immediately make them feel like this is where I'm supposed to be. Okay. The next thing you can do is offer to take their jacket or their purse or show them where they can put it. I have a bench in my entryway with a little hangy thing above it. So you can hang your jackets on there. You can set your purse on the bench. And so you can tell them they can leave that there or keep it with them, whatever they'd like, or you can offer to take it for them. So that just is just a practical, they need to know where, that's one of the first things they're going to want to know is where can I put my stuff? So you can just go ahead and tell them. Now, the next thing you're going to do is get a drink in their hand. The reason I say that is because did you know that 30% of American adults deal with anxiety? Anxiety, they're stressed. And often social situations is one of the main things the main things and situations that causes anxiety for people. So you're wanting to put them at ease. And maybe you even have anxiety, right? Like maybe you're as the host are a little anxious, but at this point, you're the one leading them, hosting them. So something that can help ease anxiety just a little bit is getting a drink into someone's hand. I don't know why, but it just helps. It helps kind of put people at ease a little bit. So again, you have that drink station already set up, right? So after they've put their jackets and purses away, lead them on into the drink station, show them the drink station, and tell them to help themselves and grab a drink. Now, if they don't want one, that's fine, but you want to give them that immediate option to get a drink in their hand. Sometimes just having a drink in their hand helps them feel a little bit more comfortable. They have something they can sip on. If they get dry mouth because of anxiety, that can be nice to have a little something, in their hand to take a drink. So it just helps with anxiety. And you'd be surprised how often people are just a little anxious when they go to someone's house for dinner. So we're getting a drink in their hand. The next thing we're going to do is, especially if you don't know them or they don't know you very well, or whatever, or if you have a new person, like maybe your family's coming for Thanksgiving and it's, all family except for one person who's maybe just dating someone in the family or new to your family. It can be nice to let them know what the plan is. Just say, hey, I was thinking maybe we would, have some drinks and appetizers. Then around 6 p.m., we're going to have a seat at the table and eat dinner. Then afterwards, I thought maybe we would play a game or whatever your plan is for the evening. Just tell them the plan. Again, that 30% who's dealing with anxiety often will have their nerves settled just a little bit because they know the plan now. And that helps. It really does help. There's especially certain kind of people who really like to know what the plan is. So you can just let them know. It's very easy. Let them know what your plan is. Also, I like to have a little something out to eat. I don't do real elaborate appetizers because I'm really focused on the meal usually, making a great meal that's going to be amazing. So I don't want my guests to get all full on an appetizer. But I do think it's good to have a little something like chips and dip or carrots and ranch dressing or something that didn't cause more work for you or a ton of work for you. But it's a little something they can munch on, again, to ease those nerves if they're hungry. Or if you're serving alcohol, it's nice for them to be able to get a little something in their stomach. So just have a very simple something out. It can even be nuts, like, a handful of like salted almonds or just a little something. Okay, so they have their drinks. You can continue finishing things with dinner if there's anything else to do. And remember, you've got that timeline you can glance at, making it a lot easier. Then you're going to head into dinner, have a seat. You can be sure to instruct people. People don't assume people know what to do. It's your home. They're wanting you to tell them what to do. Should they sit wherever they want? Do you have a specific place for them? So go ahead and tell them, putting them at ease. Let's go ahead and go in and have a seat at the table. I have name cards in front of your seat. So find your name card and have a seat. Or if you didn't do name cards, you can say, let's head on in and just go ahead and grab a seat wherever you'd like. Whatever it is that you're doing, don't just assume they know. You have to tell them. And it can be awkward when you're a guest and a host is not helping you, not telling you what to do. Like the drinks are there, but they don't tell you, go ahead and get a drink. So you're like, can I get a drink? And are we doing that later? But so as weird as it may seem, you need to actually articulate things to your guests. Hey, here's the drink station. Go ahead and get whatever you'd like to drink. Help yourself. Here's a little snack if you want to nibble on something while I finish dinner, or whatever you're doing. Give instruction. Let them know. It helps them a lot. And often if you're a guest that isn't being told what to do, your anxiety level is actually going up. So you want people to be, put at ease. I will sometimes point out the blankets that I put out too. Like if someone is kind of going like this or, whatever, or they didn't want to take their jacket off because they're cool, I'll say, oh, I have some throw blankets here too. Feel free to grab one and put it over your lap if you want. Something to, again, give them permission to do that specific thing, even though you might feel like, well, I put them out. It's obvious. Go ahead and use it. No, it's not. It's not obvious. So articulate what you want your guests to do. Okay, so you're at the table, you're doing the questions, that's keeping your conversation flowing. And also, don't get too rigid. Like if you had said the plan was to send the bowl around and everybody take a question and ask it. If you get on one specific question and the conversation just starts flowing really naturally and really well, you can just not keep going if you want. Remember, you can be flexible with what the plan is. The goal is to create a great time for you and your guests, not to be so rigid that you're following all of these things exactly. The objective is to be a great host and to make your guests feel like they have been given a gift by being a part of your home and your hospitality. So just be flexible and kind of fill the room out, if you will. Now, dinner's over. I like to have a little break between dinner and dessert because often if you've just eaten a meal, you're actually really not in the mood for dessert immediately. Your stomach's pretty full and you just don't. So a lot of times I'll have like a little gap. That's an opportunity to clear away everyone's dinner plates and offer coffee or water or refills on whatever you have been serving for the evening. Get everyone's glasses filled, and then you can maybe say, in about 20 minutes or so, we'll have chocolate cake or whatever you're serving. So then they know what's coming. Therefore, they know what they might want to drink with the dessert, because some people will switch. Say they had soda with dinner, but with dessert, they would like coffee. So it's nice to let them know dessert's coming in about 20 minutes. This is what it is. And then ask if you can get drinks for everyone. Now, if people do drink coffee and it's dinner time, they usually are appreciative if you offer decaf coffee. So if you're doing a dinner as opposed to a lunch, I would recommend having some decaf on hand if you have any coffee drinkers, which usually I usually have at least one or two that want some decaf coffee. So dinner time, decaf coffee. It's a nice touch. People appreciate it. They want coffee, but they want to be able to sleep. So they don't want the caffeine. So I will usually do a French press decaf coffee, but you don't have to do that too. Like you can do whatever you do that. But do keep in mind to try to pick up some decaf coffee, even if decaf is not what you would normally drink. Okay. Okay. So then you can serve the dessert. You can use a tray to put the dessert plates on, or you can bring them in one at a time. Don't forget to bring that silverware. If you did what I said and set the table with just what you need for dinner, you're going to want to bring in the utensils for dessert. Or if you have some sort of buffet or counter that's nearby, you can already have them out and sitting right there. So it's easy to grab and you aren't making lots of trips. So give everybody their dessert, their coffee, their refills on their drinks. Enjoy your dessert, and the evening is coming to an end. Let's say maybe you played a game afterwards, maybe you just talked, whatever you and your guests feel like doing, but the night's over. And let's say you're ready for everyone to leave. This happens occasionally. I go to bed really, really early, like really early. So sometimes I will have guests staying and I'll think, I'm ready for you to go. And not because I haven't had a good time. I've had a good time, but I'm ready for bed. And I still have to clean up some stuff. So what you can do, and it sounds kind of funny, and it is a little bit funny, but it gets the point across and in a somewhat gracious way. I will, as the host, when it's time for everyone to leave, I will put my napkin on, take it from my lap, put it on the table, and stand up and say, well, this has been so nice. Thank you so much for coming tonight. This was lovely, or whatever. So you're making it clear it's over. But you're saying a really nice and hopefully honest thing, right? Hey guys, thanks so much for coming over. This has been great. We've loved visiting with you as you're standing up. So that lets everyone know it's time to go. And so it's a gracious way of ending the evening and not feeling like, oh my gosh, are these people ever going to leave? Which happens. So hopefully not, hopefully you're all on the same page and they don't overstay their welcome. But if they are, that's something you can do to go ahead and end the evening. Sometimes people will offer to help clean up or do dishes. It's up to you if you want to do that. You can let them help. You can say no, thank you, whatever you feel. I don't think there's really a right or wrong answer to that. It's whatever you want. And then you can gather their stuff for them, their purse, their jackets, whatever, and get that to them. And the evening is over. And you have been a successful host and been a blessing to your guests. Okay. Now, you might be thinking, well, it's easy for you to be hospitable. You have done it a lot, or you've been trained, or you already know what you're doing, or you're married, or you have a family, and whatever. We have these reasons. Well, I'm single. Well, I don't know how to do it. I can't afford to do it. Whatever the reason is. That's true. I do have those things, and I am blessed, especially to have a husband who's very helpful. He's a partner in hospitality with me very much. He helps with everything. He helps with getting ready before they come. He helps with the guests when they arrive. He's great. And I do have a lot of blessings. But, also what you don't know is that I will be hosting this week, several times actually. I'm hosting because we have family birthdays and Thanksgivings, and I just am the one who does all of the hospitality in our family. And this week and this whole holiday season, I'm doing it with an absolute broken heart. Broken heart. This year has been one of the worst years of our family's life, which is saying a lot because we've been through some hard things, as you know, if you've read my book. But this year, I have talked about this a little bit already. I did a teaching on Job and about getting double for your trouble. And in that episode, I talked about some of the hard things that we've been going through. And I talked about it again later because more things happened, but even more things have happened. So our Job season is not quite done. I can tell you that it started really at the beginning, towards the beginning of the year in spring, when we lost all of our money. We were scammed. We had an investment that we had made. We'd make great returns on our money. We'd pulled our money out. We had done that back and forth 5 times. And then when we made a large investment, it was stolen. It was a scam. It was actually a scam by the Chinese government, which is really crazy, but they're trying to steal our wealth, basically. And very unfortunately, they were successful with us. We lost everything that we had. All of our money was gone. We have our house, very thankful for that, but we lost all of our money. Then right after that, 2 out of 4 of our sons were targeted by people, by predators, really. One specifically was a predator. He was, our son had gone to a church to get involved in the college group there, looking for friends, needing friends, craving friends. And this church had a group that was specifically for college age kids. So he went to this group and started getting involved and was targeted by a homosexual predator who was in leadership at the church and targeted our son and started manipulating him and like almost like brainwashing him and trying to turn him against us. We walked through that with him. Same time that's happening, one of our other sons has someone come into their life who tries to put a wedge between us, actually lies about us to try to put a wedge between our son and us, and was successful in doing that in a lot of ways. So we have 2 sons at the same time being targeted by very different kinds of people, but nonetheless, it was very bad and difficult to walk through. Then I got stung by a bee and had an allergic reaction that lasted almost 2 weeks and made me very sick. Kind of a weird thing to have happen. I didn't even know I was allergic to bees, but apparently I am. Then I got skin cancer on my back and had to walk through dealing with that, getting that removed, and moving past that. Just as I'm healing from that, I got hit by a car. And it was hit very hard. The car was totaled, and I am still currently in a lot of physical pain from that car accident that also created like a form of trauma and PTSD that I just had to deal with, which was unpleasant and hard and still is in my body, very hard because of the pain. I was thinking maybe that was going to be the end of our Job season because it was pretty dramatic and bad, and getting hit by a car, like it was terrible. And I thought, surely the Job season is coming to an end, but it wasn't. We had the two sons that had the other situations. One of our other sons, not third in age, it was a third son, entered crisis mode with a situation that put us in a crisis mode. And we are still currently in a very heartbreaking crisis. And while I can't and won't be giving you the details of that situation because it's not appropriate at this time, I can tell you that that son, who I love more than life itself, will not be joining us for the holidays. Even though he's just a few miles away, he's let us know that he won't be with us for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, for his birthday that is sandwiched between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I know that some of you also have struggles with loved ones, whether it's a marriage that's struggling, whether it's your children or a dying parent or a family member that's got an addiction, making it where the holidays and hospitality are just less sweet than they should be. I didn't want to tell you about my current situation with one of our sons because I don't have good news from it. I do for the other ones, the other sons, the situations that we walked through earlier in the year have gotten better. One is completely resolved and one is significantly better. And I'm thankful for that. But this one, with this current situation, which is by far the worst of all of them, it's just like still happening. I don't have a testimony yet. I have a current struggle. And I think we have a temptation to want to just kind of act like we have it all together, or not really share. I don't want to share the situation until it's over, until I have good news for you, because I do believe a testimony is coming. I do have faith for that. But I wanted to share right now while I'm in the middle of it, because I know that some of you are dealing with the same kinds of things and you feel so alone. And sometimes it's stuff you can't share. And so it's complicated and it's heartbreaking. And in a lot of ways you are alone because it's just such a private matter that you can't really share it. And so you're just dealing with it alone. So I wanted you to know you're not alone. You're not alone. Even if no one else knows what you're going through or what heartbreak you're experiencing, God knows. God is with you. And if you're not already experiencing his grace carrying you through that, ask for it. But I can tell you for me, as I am in a very, very difficult situation, if I told you what we're dealing with this situation, it would make your knees buckle. And I'm not being dramatic. It is so intense on multiple levels, in very complicated, very painful ways. But as I am walking through that situation, I can tell you that I am experiencing a miracle. Not because the outcome has been determined yet, but in the middle of the painful thing, I'm experiencing a miracle of God's grace carrying me, nurturing me, sustaining me, even giving me peace and joy. Joy. I've had times of laughter. I've been able to have peace. I can tell you the first 5 days of the situation we're dealing with, I was not okay. But since then, which it's now been about a month, I can say God's grace has carried me. And his presence is so tender and sweet because he says, he is near to the brokenhearted. So if you're brokenhearted, like I am, I want you to know God's with you. And if you don't already feel that, ask him, Lord, help me. Carry me through this. Pour your grace out on me. I have asked God every single day of the situation, Lord, have mercy on me. Have mercy on me. Have grace. Pour your grace out on me and have mercy on me. And I am binding the plans of the enemy over the situation, and I am loosing the plans of God over the situation, and I am interceding and interceding and interceding, and I am full of faith that at some point I am going to come back on here and I'm going to give you the testimony part of it. But right now I'm just in the heartbreak part. Holidays will be a little different this year. Saying the least. A lot different. A lot different. So if that's your situation, God wants you to know he is with you. He sees you, and you're going to get through this. And you know what? We're going to be okay no matter how the situation turns out. While I'm believing for a great outcome here, just full of faith for it, praying for it, I also know that even if I don't get the outcome I'm looking for, I'll still have God. And he'll still comfort me. And he'll still carry me. And whether I live or die, whether or not it goes the way I'm wanting, I will be okay. And so will you. And so will you. With that said, bringing us back to the hospitality that we've been talking about, the hospitality that I'll be doing with just a piece of my heart shattered. I want to know, will you be doing something hospitable? Will you be having someone over? Will you give the gift of hospitality? Maybe even if you're going through a hard situation. It's kind of amazing how when you're in need, giving helps. Give a gift to someone else. Do something kind for someone else. When you're the one in need, give away what you need. It's really an interesting thing that happens. It's very soothing. And it boomerangs, it tends to, right? Because we reap what we sow. And so if you're hurting, go help someone else who's hurting. But remember, with hospitality, that it's like driving a car. And it can be overwhelming when you don't know what you're doing, but you just start with one thing, just the first thing, just do one thing to get started. It doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, if it's perfect, often your guests can feel a little uptight if everything is so perfect. It's a little messy if things don't go well. There's something, you burn something and whatever. You forgot something, whatever. Things can go wrong. It can be imperfect, but do it anyway. Do it anyway. Be hospitable. Remember, I'm your instructor. Go back and watch this video so you can learn how to do all the things. And it's just like driving. That driving instructor told you what to do and how to do it. And you did one little thing at a time. And before you knew it, you could drive. And you can be hospitable. Thank you for watching today. Thank you for listening and for praying for my family. I would appreciate it if you would. And God bless you, and know that you are loved. Bye.
Thanks for watching The Rachel Hamm Show. If you found value in today's content, would you consider giving a gift? Any amount is appreciated. and the links to give are in the description box below this video. Or perhaps you'd like to buy one of Rachel's products so she can continue bringing content like this to you. All the links to purchase her products are in the description box below the video. To find out more about Rachel, you can go to her website, rachelhamm.com. That's Rachel, Hamm.com. See you in the next episode of The Rachel Hamm Show.